Yes, we're back. We're back.
Oh my God, we are just back from it.
So I notice people are still coming in, which is fine. Yes, you can't squeeze all these people into, women, they always have to line up and whatnot at the washroom, right? So yes, welcome to Act 2. Wow, isn't this great? And I have to share with you that being in showbiz and being on television and being is recognized is really quite nice. People come up to me in the street and they say, oh, you're an institution. And I say, no, I should be in one. But I was recognized at the airport recently, going through the airport, and this woman, she turns to her husband and says, oh, look, there goes what's her name. And I said, oh, and you must be what's her face? The husband is like, oh, that's little Lulu. Yeah, my favorite comic when I was growing up. I used to buy the comics, and it's like Lulu, but then I used to put the L, I used to put like a B, and then make the U and A, so it's like Little Luba. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Did I mention that I'm a doctor? No. Oh, well, I have 2 honorary doctorates with Air Force. Yes, from Brock University and the University of Athabasca. For lifetime achievement and contributing to Canadian culture. And I have to say that my mother is no longer here, but Mama was so proud of me when I received the doctorate. She was telling all her friends, like, oi, I'd be so proud of my Luba. She barely finished high school, but she's a doctor. I'm like, Ma, do you have to tell everybody I barely finished high school? It's like, that's okay, Dr. Goy. We also got a star on the Walk of Fame, in the outside the Symphony Hall, the Roy Thompson, thank you, a star, and my mother was trying to explain to her neighbor who's from Romania that, my Luba, she be so big star now, she be so big star, you can see her on the sidewalk of Toronto. Anytime, there's my Luba, right on the sidewalk. Yeah, being peed on by dogs and, Was anybody at the concert last year, at the High Notes concert last year in Richmond Hill? Yes, boo. Oh my goodness. Yeah, the Center for the Arts, theater. Right as the curtain was going up and the lights were coming down in the second act, you could hear beep, 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 beep. The fire alarm started. And there was an electrical fire in the elevator shaft or whatever on the second floor, and the theater had to be evacuated. Absolutely evacuated. It was horrible. Ron Korb, our golden flutist, didn't get a chance to perform. He was out, like we were all out in the cold, and this young woman who is a prodigy, violin prodigy. She had $1 million like Stradivarius violin. Was out in the cold. Yeah, she was a prodigy. My parents, when I was, when they got me the accordion, they were hoping I'd be a prodigy. And they prodded me and I got itchy. So, there you have it. But it was something to experience. Now, one of our speakers who did not get a chance to perform and who is going to perform this evening is Bill McPhee, who drove all the way from Fort Erie, ladies and gentlemen, to talk to us this evening. Fort Erie! That's like days away, isn't it? It's just like Fort and it's Erie. Oh, yeah. But getting serious, Bill is, he's just an amazing human being who's really overcome huge challenges. Now, I ask you, what would you do if you were told that you would never be able to contribute to society? Well, our next speaker, Bill McPhee, is living proof that you can rise above your diagnosis. He says recovery is when you would not want to be anyone other than who you are today. And here he is talking about life after mental illness. So please welcome our speaker, Bill McPhee.
Thank you, Luba. Hello, everybody. Let me put my notes up here. Okay. Luba mentioned I'm going to perform. I didn't know I'm going to perform. What am I supposed to perform?
Now, is that box, should I move that for you?
That's fine. I'll just kick it out of the way if it gets in the way. Okay. So. Okay.
Looking good, Bill, all the way from Fort
Luba said I'm going to perform. It reminds me like every Thanksgiving, my wife says, "Bill, you got to watch the turkey." I said, "Why? What's it going to do? Run away? Do jumping jacks? Push-ups? What's it going to do, right?"
Hey.
Anyways.
What does it do?
I don't know. I'm
lies
never
there on the
watching. I fall
table.
asleep. I don't watch it. I fall asleep and I get up and I look at it and it's still there. So
Where are your
I don't know why.
notes?
No notes. High notes right here are the notes. Okay, so folks,
Okay.
you know, I got to tell you.
I gotta tell you, I'm getting off the stage.
Did you hear about the two psychiatrists that were walking down the hallway in opposite directions? And as they were passing each other, the one said, "Good morning." And the other one said, "I wonder what he meant by that." But, you know, I'm known as a recovery expert. And you might want to say, well, what exactly is a recovery expert? And I got to tell you, well, I was hospitalized 6 different times. I lived in 3 different group homes. I had a suicide attempt. I spent 5 years on the couch basically doing nothing. And today, I'm married. I have 3 children. I have my business. I'm the executive director of an organization called Ambassadors for Mental Wellness. And I have a very good life that I really enjoy. And my definition of recovery, sometimes people think that it's if you're stable on meds or if you have a part-time job or if you're you know, going to school or something like that. But my definition of recovery, and it's not only for people with mental illness, but it's for everybody. And recovery is when you wouldn't want to be anyone else other than who you are today. And I think that's so very, very important. You know, I have a recovery program and I do recovery coaching and everything, and I have 6 pillars of recovery. But before I tell you about those 6 pillars, I want to tell you that I really think it's very important to understand our illness. I know that seems to be a trend today where, you know what, people don't want to tell you have a diagnosis, or they just want to say you have a psychosis, or if you're out of reality, or, you know, they don't want to give labels of bipolar or schizophrenia or, you know, obsessive compulsive. And I got to tell you, honestly, I think that's the wrong direction. And I'll tell you why. The reason I think that is because, you know, if we look at our mental illness as our enemy, just like if we were at war and we had an enemy, what would you want to know about that enemy? You'd want to know the nuclear arsenal, their Navy potential, their Air Force, their infantry, all this information about the enemy. And if I don't know who my enemy is, how am I going to study it and find out how to fight it? And that's why, I'm kind of known for making complicated things simple. Like, for example, in my illness, schizophrenia, there's what's known as positive and negative symptoms. And you say, well, positive, that sounds great. Well, what's that all about? And negative, that sounds bad. You know, what's that? But basically, with schizophrenia, positive symptoms are symptoms that are added to your personality that shouldn't be there. For example, we shouldn't be paranoid, we shouldn't have delusions, we shouldn't hallucinate, we shouldn't hear voices, we see lights reflect and refract and all that. Our senses are heightened, our sense of smell, our hearing is more acute. These things are added to our personality, so they shouldn't be there, so they're called positive symptoms. with negative symptoms. When they say negative symptoms or deficit symptoms, what are they? And deficit symptoms are things that are lacking from our personality that should be there. For example, we have a lack of joy, a lack of energy, a lack of motivation. We have a lack of drive, emotional bluntness, a blandness, a lack of joy. Depression can set in. Those things are negative symptoms. If I didn't know that, how could I fight that? How could I understand and do that and understand that? And so I think that's so very, very, very important. You talk about hearing voices. We see about hearing voices. People say, what's it like hearing voices? We hear about this hearing voices. Well, can you imagine if say we got our cottage up in Parry Sound or something like that, and we leave Toronto and we're driving down the highway and we're listening to our favorite radio station. Well, all of a sudden, as we're getting further and further from that tower, the signal gets weaker and a stronger radio station comes over that weaker station. That's like hearing a voice. It's jumping frequencies. Well, that makes sense. Or, we talk about OCD. Obsessive compulsive disorder. Oh my God, my son, he goes in the house, he washes his hands, he comes back out, he has to go back in. I can't take it. Well, what's he doing? What's that all about? I don't understand it. Well, do you remember those old records, the 45 vinyl records that you would turn on a turntable and they had a needle that would go through the grooves? Well, remember what would happen? It would be so old, we play that record so many times that it gets stuck. And it repeats, and it repeats, and it repeats, and it repeats. That's OCD. Well, what I gotta take medication? What's this, the medication and everything like that? Well, we're trying to move the needle. We need to bump that needle, and with medication, we're trying to bump the needle. Well, that makes sense, right? Or, let's see, what else? Anxiety. We hear about anxiety today. Oh my God, everybody has anxiety. Anxiety. What is it? We're all talking about anxiety, but nobody knows what it is. Well, it's true, right? Raise your hand if you think that's true. We all hear about anxiety, but nobody really knows what it is. Anxiety is basically fear of the present and always worrying about the future. Fear of the present and worrying about the future. So you say, well, okay, that makes sense. But to what degree? We've got to put weights on that. Right now, do I have, is my fear of today, is my fear at the present moment, is it a 6? Is it a 4? Is it an 8? Okay, it's an 8. Or when we are worrying about the future. Constantly worrying about the future. Is it a 4? Is it a 6? Is it a 9? That's anxiety, very, very simple. We need to understand. One more last analogy. I can't believe, maybe it was, 3 years ago. Remember Vince Lee, the guy that decapitated the guy in Alberta on the bus? We all remember. Raise your hand if you remember that. Remember that? Well, I couldn't believe listening to the radio stations, all these people phoning up and complaining and saying, oh, they're faking it. Oh, they should be put away, they locked away and everything. NCR, what's this non-criminally responsible? What is this non-criminally responsible about? Well, listen, say you had Tourette's syndrome, right? Say you had Tourette's. We all know what Tourette's syndrome is, right? What if they made a law in church? What if they made a law and they said, you could not swear in church. If you swear in church, you automatically go to jail for 5 years, mandatory. Absolutely no excuses. But we know what Tourette's, right? What happens some Sunday, some guy with Tourette's is in church. All of a sudden, F this and F that, the law says he's got to go to jail. But is he really criminally responsible? That's non-criminally responsible. Very simple. Okay, let's move on. I want to talk a little bit about recovery. Recovery has 6 pillars of recovery. And basically the pillars are spirituality, understanding that there's God and God is for you, not against you. Relationships, building the best out in people, bringing out the best in people. Family, creating a sense of belonging. Mental, physical health, we should all want to live how long as possible and as healthy as possible. And then we go to the working, your finances. We want to all try to get out of debt and build wealth. And then our working, volunteering, and career. That's our 6 pillars of recovery. I just want to relate one pillar and tell you a story about relationships and how my illness, how I turned around in my illness. Basically, I was very, very ill. Psychosis, I was naked on the street, I was just totally bizarre, out of my reality, and psychosis purely just right off the wall for a very, very long time. Medication was fine. Eventually I got back to reality with medication. Here I was hearing voices, I was paranoid, I was having delusions, hallucinations, and I literally when I got back on medication and going over, I literally crossed from being insane over to reality where things didn't seem funny anymore, and the TV wasn't talking to me, and I wasn't getting code off the radio and all this, and I was back in reality. And you would think I would say, that's great, Bill, you're back in reality, that's great. But you know what my reality consisted of? I found out that I lost my house, I lost my job, I lost my friends, I lost my financial security, and I found out I was just another one out of 100 people that suffer with this illness known as schizophrenia. So even though I was in reality, reality really sucked. So anyways, I was 5 years on the couch, and it scared the living crap out of me because I thought that 5 years was gonna turn into 7 years, and 7 years was gonna turn into 10 years. And we see people like that. We see young people. Schizophrenia is known as youth's greatest disabler because it hits between the ages of, say, 15 and 25, always exceptions. But with this youth's greatest disabler, here I was on the couch. And I said, oh my God, 5 years is gonna turn into 10 years, and that scared me. And I said, you know what? I said, this is very important. I said, my psychiatrist didn't say this. My friends, if I had any, didn't say this. My parents didn't say this. My social work didn't say this. I said, I'm gonna prove to somebody that I can do something. And I can remember what I'm thinking negatively all the time, what a grade 7 teacher said to me. And this grade 7 teacher said, Bill, if you don't learn how to write properly in life, you're never gonna amount to anything. And what she meant about my writing was my penmanship. I had very, very poor penmanship. I think I write like the best doctors. But anyways, I remember this, and I said to myself, I'm gonna prove to somebody I can do something. So I phoned the Fort Erie Literacy Foundation. And I said, listen, I know how to read and I know how to write, but I want to improve my penmanship. And Martha came over. Martha was a volunteer of the Literacy Foundation. She was the executive director of the Big Brothers and Big Sisters, and she was going to school for social work at Niagara College. And Martha took an interest in me, and she'd come over, and we'd do these penmanship exercises once a week. And every week when Martha was supposed to come over, I'd think, oh my God, Martha's coming over. That means I gotta wash my hair, and I gotta brush my teeth, and I gotta shave. All these things that are difficult to do with negative symptoms. And Martha would come over, and she'd say, Bill, she says, I know you're not doing much, which was an understatement. And she says, I go to school. She says, why don't you take a course at the college, and I'll drive you. And I'm sort of like George on Seinfeld. I'm short, and I'm stocky, and I'm bald. And my parents are just like George's parents. And I'm shallow, and I had no friends, and I had no friends of the opposite sex. And Martha was the opposite sex, so I said, you know, I guess I go to school with you, Martha. And, but you know what? I thought, oh my God, today, Martha's, we're going to school. That means I gotta wash my hair, and I gotta brush my teeth, and I gotta shave, all these things that difficult with negative symptoms. So Martha comes over, and we're doing these things. Then I get another phone call, and it's from Martha. And I'm thinking, oh my God, Martha, what do you want? And Martha says, Bill, I'm the 7th chairperson of the Fort Erie Cubs, Beavers, and Scouts. We need a treasurer. How would you like to be our treasurer? And I thought, oh my God, that means I gotta wash my hair, and I gotta brush my teeth, and I gotta shave. All these things that are very difficult to do with negative symptoms. And so I kicked the ground, and I said, well, okay, Martha, I'll come to your stupid meeting. Well, I went there, and that was a turning point. It was a turning point in my life because I met Martha's husband, I met her children, I met Peter, who I started to play racquetball and squash with. And I know you look at me and you say, no, Bill, no, you sure didn't play enough racquetball or enough squash. I mean, you know, my son says to me, Dad, he says, you know what, you're getting big again, Dad. You're starting to get big again. He says, I bet your shadow weighs 50 pounds. So I stepped on the scale, I get the scale, and I stepped on the scale, I get on it, and it said 1 person at a time, please. And so didn't play enough racquetball, enough squash. But anyways, I started out helping out with Apple Day and Cub Cars and campouts. And what it did is it gave me a whole new social network of people who accepted me for who I was and not what I had. And that's the beginning, that's the beginning. So that's kind of a little story about my recovery in that. And I just want to point out one thing. I just want to tell you one more story and then end there. But I want to tell you that recovery is possible and that there is life after mental illness. And I want to tell you that I have a very, very bad psychiatrist, a terrible psychiatrist. My psychiatrist is so bad that he makes me bring my own couch to the sessions. I gotta tell you, no, my psychiatrist is really good. He's really good. But anyways, I gotta tell you, you know what, about recovery and this story I think tells it all, and really, really touched me. We go to church on Sundays, and we were praying. I was in the prayer room, and this lady, Mike and Pat, they have a son with Down syndrome. And his name is Stephen. And Stephen's a great guy. We've gone to trips together with different people, family members, and different outings. And Steve works at Walmart as a greeter, and he's a great guy. And you know, Stephen was sick. Stephen had a cold, a flu. He was sick for a few weeks. And we all know how really yucky it really feels that when we're sick. But here this one Sunday that Pat prayed, and she said, you know what? Thank you, Lord, that Stephen's back, got rid of his cold. He's back to his normal self. Stephen with Down syndrome, we're so thankful because he's back to his normal self. And that really hit me. It really hit me because you know what? Pat and Mike don't want a cured non-Down syndrome person. They love Stephen for who he is and what he has and who he is. And again, recovery is when you wouldn't want to be anyone other than who you are today. Have a great night. Thank you.
Wow. That's a hard act to follow. Thank you so much, Bill, for sharing your remarkable story, inspiring everyone in this room. It's just, we love you. You're just a wonderful man. And, you know, it takes a lot of courage to get up in front of an audience and share, you know, your challenges, and Bill does it so wonderfully. And thank you for driving all the way from Fort Erie. You know. But his joke about I think the bipolar person who, you know, someone says, you know, have a nice day, and the person goes, what do they mean by that? Reminds me of the differences that, you know, between Americans and Canadians. In America, if you say to someone, oh, hi, you don't say that. You go, hi. I just noticed these people way down there looking up my nose. I know, hi. Yes. Yes, I think I must have ADD because you get easily distracted. In America, if you tell somebody, have a nice day, you know, they'll say, of course, I'm having a nice day. It's supposed to be a nice day. But in Canada, you tell someone, have a nice day, and they go, yes, and we're going to pay for it. Like in America, if you're driving and a person cuts you off, you know, they'll roll down their window and they say, you know, you asshole. Can I say that? You idiot. But in Canada, you know, we give the person the benefit of the doubt. You know, somebody cuts you off, you roll down your window and you say, what are you? An asshole or what? You know, there's a difference. It's great. You know, this is a great country, though, isn't it? I mean, look at the difference. Look at the difference. You know, the symbol, just having a symbol. You know, what is our symbol, our national symbol? The beaver.
You're the beaver.
You know, and in America, they have the mighty eagle, but we have the lowly little beaver, whose only preoccupation it is to build dams, dams, and more dams, dam after dam after dam, dams, and dams. And that's why I always say that Canada is the best damned country in the world. Yes. Oh, oh yeah. And you know, it just reminds me that when I came to this country as a refugee, my parents are Ukrainian, I speak the language, я дуже гарно говорю по-українськи, якщо тут є. Чи хтось тут є, говорить по-українськи? Так, я. Як си маєш? Anyway, but I was, you know, we came from, I grew up in Belgium, not very well, I only made it, you know, to 3 feet by the time I came, but my mother, father, and I, we came by boat, you know, from Belgium through Port Le Havre on an Italian freighter and came through Pier 21 and, you know, Halifax. But before that, we were one day in front of, is it Ellis Island in the United States, and people got off, and we're all refugees, and you know, I saw the Statue of Liberty, the lady with the lamp, and Mama said, no, this is not our country, Luba. We are going to be Canadians. And so the boat sailed up the coast, and then she said, there it is, our country, Canada, and I saw these rocks. And I said, well, where's the lady with the lamp? And Mama said, yes, well, you know, this is going to be our country. And I was just so grateful. I'm so grateful that in those days, the immigration officers didn't ask those really tough questions. You know, when you get off and, you know, the officer would be like, you can come in, you little girl. You're going to make fun of the government when you grow up?
Oh, yes, sir, every Friday night at 8 o'clock on CBC.
You, back on the boat. Just kidding. Mother, father, welcome to Canada. Just kidding. Back on the boat, you little terrorist. So, you know, I just squeaked in. And now it is my supreme pleasure and to introduce our final performer of the evening. I know you've been sitting here so patiently holding, you know, bated breath, but it's the iconic and legendary Dan Hill. Oh my God, in live, in person. Grammy Award singer-songwriter Dan Hill. And he says, a message sent through music will get through a lot quicker than words alone. Music has a way of breaking down people's offenses and capturing their heart faster than just about anything else. And he should know, because his beautiful songs, whether sung by him or by many artists whom he has composed for, have been heard by millions of people around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Hill.
Wow, what a wonderful night. I sat in one of the box seats, the first set, and was just blown away by the diversity of talent and really moved by the humanity of the performers that opened up about their own lives and about their discoveries when it came to mental health. We've all been touched. None of us are immune. I'll get more into this as my set unfolds. I'm going to start with a song I wrote about myself and my father and the complicated, intense, competitive love-hate relationship we had. He never really approved of my desire to be a musician and thought that I was doomed to poverty. And I think all those songs that I wrote through all those years, I think a lot of it was my way of trying to prove to my father that I was okay. And there was this running gag almost that no matter what I did, it wasn't quite good enough. I remember in 1978, I was nominated for Grammy for of the Year, and I phoned my father and I told him from LA. He said, "Is it for Songwriter of the Year?" I said, "No, just singer." He said, "Well, hills are meant to be writers. Singers come and go like yesterday's news, but the written word lasts forever." So I was feeling guilty about being nominated for a Grammy in the wrong category. But that could only happen to someone from Don Mills. I played this song for my father about our struggles and our love just before he fell into his final diabetic coma. And this is called My Father's Son. The strongest man I ever knew never was a match for you. Always wanted your attention, never knew just how to get it, so I rebelled. Tried to be your opposite, I did it well. Strange but true, our lives are like a mirror. I'm very much like you. You were my unsolved mystery, always fairly out of reach. At baseball games when parents came, you were always missing, that's okay. At your meetings and promotions, anyway. Somehow I knew, the more I tried to be so different, the more I was like you. Memories die hard, love dies harder still. I forgive you, I have no choice, 'cause when all is said and done, I am my father's son. The first time that I saw you cry was the morning that your daddy died, and stood there in amazement. As you packed up your suitcase, I heard you say, "Son, I need you here to get me through the day." And through your tears, saw the boy inside the man. It was suddenly so clear. Memories die hard, love dies harder still. I forgive you, I have no choice, 'cause when all is said and done, I am my father's son. What is love without forgiveness? You did the best you could. Let go of the anger when I finally understood. Memories die hard, love dies harder still. I forgive you, I have no choice, 'cause when all is said and done, I am my father's son. Always, always be my daddy's boy. I'll always love you, I have no choice, 'cause when all is said and done, I am my father's son. The strongest man I ever knew. Thank you. This is a song that was first made popular by Celine Dion, and I used to tour with her, but back before anyone knew who she was, when I had a song called "Can't We Try" that was a duet hit in North America. And my original recording partner, Vonda Shepard, couldn't do the song live with me, so Celine came to my house to audition. audition when she was 18 to see if she was good enough to stand in for Blonda. Talk about an understatement. I gave the song to her manager, not thinking that she would even remember me because she'd become so big and everyone was trying to get on her album at that time. And I got a call in the middle of the night, and it was Celine calling from London, England. She'd just done 6 nights in a row in Wembley, and her voice was pretty shot. And she said, I really want to do that song, Seduces Me. It reminds me of how I feel about Renee. And I was half asleep, and I said, well, if you're going to record it, I want to produce it. And I remember getting out of bed and getting my guitar, going back to bed, having the phone kind of crooked between my ear and my shoulder, and bringing the cable up and down my guitar, trying to find the right key for Celine to sing it in. And there I was, wearing nothing but my boxer underwear with elephants on them. And my wife was wondering who in the world I was singing this erotic song to. And when I said Celine Dion, she just got even angrier because she was sure I was lying. I don't think she ever really believed me until the record came out. Anyway, I'm going to play the song now. You know, I have my own way of doing it, which is a little bit like Celine, because she took my demo and then we kind of tried to recreate it for a record. Everything you are, everything you'll be, touches the current of love, so deep in me. Every sigh in the night, every tear that you cry, seduces me. Oh, all that I am, all that I'll be, means nothing at all if you can't be with me. Your most innocent kiss, girl, your sweetest caress, seduces me. I don't care about tomorrow, I've given up on yesterday. Here and now is all that matters. Right here with you is where I'll stay. Everything in this world, every voice in the night, every little thing of beauty shining through in your eyes, and all that is you becomes part of me too, 'cause all you do seduces me. And if I should die tomorrow, I go down a happy man. I thank God I've ever known you. I fall down on my knees for all the love we had. Every sigh in the night, every tear that you cry, seduces me, seduces me. All that you do seduces me. great when they can get tequila in these water bottles. I really want to thank Ingrid for doing such a bang-up job at organizing this High Notes Gala. She's worked so hard and is continuing to work so hard to make sure that it all runs smoothly without a hitch. I'm going to kind of delve into a bit of my family life now and read a section from my book, which is also called I Am My Father's Son, where I was first introduced to mental illness as a young child. Family looks out for each other, Dad explained to me when Aunt Margaret first came to live with us. I was in grade 3. Remember, Danny, the strong take care of the weak. That means the males in the Hill household always protect the females. Suddenly, I felt myself grow in stature. Dad was including me in some special pact. Meanwhile, Mom didn't have to say a word for me to sense that she wasn't overjoyed with this arrangement. Dad, after all, was constantly on the move, scampering all over the province, if not the country, attending some high-level government convention or another. That meant Margaret, who never seemed to sleep, was left in Mom's care, with the 3 of us kids tiptoeing around the house in our best behavior, saddled with extra chore duty to keep the household, as Dad said, running efficiently. I come home from school, and Margaret, as beautiful as she was phlegmatic and fat, would be keeled over in Dad's living room chair, as if drunk from unhappiness, crying hard and long while listening to Ella Fitzgerald sing Shiny Stockings. Why is Aunt Margaret always so sad and lonely? I asked Dad, so disturbed by this display of adult suffering that I was willing to break his cardinal rule of not discussing Margaret's problems. It's all her children's fault. They're spoiled rotten, and they constantly run roughshod over her, Dad said, shooting me a dark, accusing look. I was doing a quick inventory of my recent misdeeds, dropping Larry's toothbrush down the toilet and causing it to overflow, then blaming the whole brouhaha on him and not copping till the crime till Larry was severely spanked. I looked anxiously in Mom's direction. Dad let the silence build as I stared down at my hands. Once satisfied that I had stewed my own juices for long enough, he resumed. Margaret's mean-hearted husband left her for another woman at the first sign of her illness. And this after my sister had worked night and day to put him through medical school. There was real hate in Dad's eyes, and for a moment I was anxious for Margaret's mean-hearted husband, fearing for what would happen if he chanced to run across Dad. Now that my sister's husband has made all this money, Dad paused on money, making it sound like the most vulgar, hideous thing in the world. Now that he's a rich doctor, he's taken custody of their 2 children. That man destroyed my sister. Margaret was as happy as he could be before she came across the likes of him. A couple of weeks into Aunt Margaret's stay with us, I returned home from school for lunch to see an ambulance, red lights flashing and sirens wailing, just like on TV, parked in our driveway with the motor running. I pushed through the throng of neighbors whispering and pointing on my front lawn and tiptoed through her suspiciously wide-open front door. Margaret was being carried out of the living room by 2 ambulance attendants who somehow managed to hoist her onto the long white stretcher. She looked like she was sleeping, her mouth open in the shape of a lopsided O, most of her massive breasts and thighs spilling out from under a torn, undersized bathroom. She's overdosed on sleeping pills, Mom was sobbing to Dad on the telephone. Deciding I wasn't that hungry, I returned to the calm of my school playground, where I announced to my classmates, swinging on the monkey bars, that my aunt had just committed suicide. Sure, it was only an attempt, but I didn't know that at the time, and it came as little comfort when Mom explained later that evening that most suicides don't succeed. Don't worry, Danny. They're only a cry for help. Just the same, do not discuss this with anyone. How trying to kill yourself was a cry for help was way beyond me. Yet another example of the confusing logic adults use to explain away bad things. In family loyalty, i.e. keeping secrets, never a strong suit of mine could only go so far. Inserting a word like suicide into my vocabulary brought forth wonderful reactions. As the days passed, I went into greater and greater detail on the dangers of swallowing too many pills. Kids and teachers gaped at me, trying to determine if this story was yet another in a series of my magnificent lies. If you're lucky and don't die, you wake up as a vegetable. What kind of vegetable? One of my freaked out classmates asked. That's enough, Danny, my teacher snapped. Margaret was back living with us with days of her overdose. They upped her medication, Mom explained, so she'll feel happier. But Margaret didn't seem much different to me. She cried a little less and slept a little more, and she stopped listening to Shiny Stockings. For the next month or so, I felt safer out of the house playing sports, momentarily free of whatever mysterious mental illness germs seemed to be circulating through our air vents. Children are resilient, I heard Dad say to Mom late at night, shortly after Margaret returned to Washington, D.C. to live with my grandparents. To my way of seeing things, mental illness, divorce, and being a Negro were part and parcel of the same equation. Margaret was guilty of all three, and from whereas to the combination of divorce and brown skin was a perfect recipe for a nervous breakdown. Thus, the last thing I ever heard about was Mom succumbing to madness. She was happily married and white. But the day before Mom was taken away, Larry and I got in a fight over a bowl of cottage cheese and applesauce. In a struggle, the bowl slipped from our fingers and crashed onto the kitchen floor. We jumped back, startled by the thwack of the bowl breaking into pieces and the oozing of cottage cheese speckled applesauce everywhere. But Mom's reaction startled us far more than the broken dish. It was as if the bowl was the final straw. When she finished screaming and as she started sobbing with a forcefulness that didn't seem human. I always hated seeing Mom cry, but this seemed to come from a darker, forbidden place. This wailing person stared back at me, through me, seemed altered, totally unrecognizable. That got to me more than all her crazy fast talk and all her yelling and swearing and crying combined. Suddenly it felt like someone or something had scooped out my insides. Dad had warned me to tread softly around Mom, to protect her and help her and be extra attentive. My response was to pick a fight with my brother over a silly bowl of cottage cheese and applesauce. It was my fault that she went away. The day Mom left, I was playing ball hockey on her driveway with a classmate. I remember Dad seeming as agitated as Mom seemed subdued while he slowly escorted her out of our house, down the front steps and into a car. His car, a hospital car, was there another adult, a hospital official helping Dad? I don't know. I did everything in my power to erase the particulars surrounding Mom's departure. What I do remember is trying my hardest not to pay attention to my parents, keeping my eyes glued to the tennis ball on a recently paved driveway, stick handling ardently, careful not to utter a sound. I could hold it together so long as I didn't have to look at anybody. At 11 and a half years old, I was becoming something of a pro at remaining, on the outside at least, stoic in the face of the emotional unraveling of family members. We were never told if Mom was going to come home or when she was going to come home. It was one of those subjects that we just didn't talk about. I didn't even talk about it with my brother or my sister. Some things seemed just too awful to talk about. No one in Don Mills ever breathed a word of this, of my mom being hospitalized. That was, again, the thing about Don Mills, was there was this code of silence when it came to the stigma of mental illness. My mom eventually did come back to be with us, partly because my dad was so amazingly devoted to her. You know, every night he'd have us write letters to her, and every morning he'd go to the hospital with flowers and chocolates and letters that her three children had written. And every night after work he'd come and visit her again, and his utter devotion and love was one of the things I think that really sparked my mother's recovery. She said that later when I interviewed her for this book, that between my husband and her three kids, those were the only things that kept her from actually committing suicide. So again, the important ingredient when it comes to the breakdown of people is to have that solidarity, that connection, that human bond, that human touch. My mom is now 89, works out with a trainer twice a day, or twice a week, I should say, and is twice a day. That would make me quite a bit of an exaggerator. But she did get sick again in my 20s, and I remember visiting her women's college hospital, and all the sadness and fear that came from my childhood revisited me as I saw her in the hospital. And I found that the only thing I could do that would help me and help her would be to play music, because music seemed to be such a healing force. And, you know, singing is almost like crying, so I could release a lot of my emotions through singing these songs as opposed to just talking to her. What would happen is, in the music room, we'd leave the door open, and everyone from the psychiatric lounge would come into this music room, and suddenly there were dozens of us all singing, and there was no longer a crazy or a sane or a professional singer or an amateur singer. We were all just people drawn together by the thread of the love of music. One day when I was sitting there with my mom, she's very tiny, she was sitting beside me on the piano bench, this song just kind of rolled out of my fingers, and I didn't realize till halfway through the song that it was about my mom. But when you listen closely to the lyrics, although when it became a hit in the 80s, people thought it was a love song, you can see the connection between mother and son. I'm going to go over to the piano now and play the song. Thank you. Can I touch you? Can't believe that you are real. How did I ever find you? You are the dream that saved my life. You are the reason I survived. I never thought that I could love someone as much as I love you. I know it's crazy, but it's true. I never thought that I could need someone as much as I need you. I love you. Can I hold you? Girl, your smile lights up the sky. You are too beautiful for the human eye. You are the dream that never dies. You are the fire that burns inside. I never thought that I could love someone as much as I love you. I know it's crazy, but it's true. I never thought that I could need someone as much as I need you. I love you. You are the sunshine in the sky. You are the sparkle in my eyes. I never thought that I could love someone as much as I love you. I know it's crazy, but it's true. I never thought that I could need someone as much as I need you. I love you. Again, it's an honor for me to be part of this High Notes Gala. I think it's great that we're lifting the veil. We're lifting the shroud of darkness from mental illness and bringing it into the light. And with that light, a lot of the pathology connected to mental illness will fade and disappear. I want to dedicate this last song to all of you who came here tonight. You ask me if I love you, and I choke on my reply. I'd rather hurt you honestly than mislead you with a lie. And who am I to judge you on what you say or do? I'm only just beginning to see the real you. And sometimes when we touch, the honesty's too much, and I have to close my eyes and hide. I wanna hold you till I die, till we both break down and cry. I wanna hold you till the fear in me subsides. Romance and all the strategy leaves me battling with my pride. But through the insecurity, some tenderness survives. I'm just another writer, so trapped within my truth, a hesitant prize fighter, so trapped within my youth. And sometimes when we touch, the honesty is too much, and I have to close my eyes and hide. I wanna hold you till I die, till we both break down and cry. I wanna hold you till the fear in me subsides. At times I'd like to break you and drive you to your knees. At times I'd like to break through and hold you endlessly. At times I understand you, I know how hard you try. I've watched what love commands you, I've watched love pass you by. At times I think we're drifters, so searching for a friend, a brother or a sister, but then the passion flares again. And sometimes when we touch, the honesty's too much, and I have to close my eyes and hide. I wanna hold you till I die, till we both break down and cry. 3 years ago, my sister died, and she'd had a lot of battles with mental illness and had been in and out of psychiatric wards dozens of times. And by this time, excuse me, as a family, we had learned to be much more open about mental health, much more accepting and much more loving. And every time she was hospitalized, you know, she battled back and was eventually released. But she had an unfortunate accident during one of her breaks from the hospital and died about 3 years ago. And it was at that time that I kind of went into a kind of a psychotic illness of my own and had a total nervous breakdown and was sent to a addiction place, which wasn't the right place for me because I wasn't addicted to anything. But it's a typical mental health quagmires. What do you do with this guy who's acting like a raving lunatic? So they sent me to a drug rehab place, and that was a disaster. I got out of there about 6 weeks later, and then they sent me to the psychiatric ward where I was diagnosed as bipolar. And once I was given the right medication, I settled back down again. But I want to play this last song as a dedication to my sister. This is called Still a Lot of You Around Here. Don't get out much these days. My friends call, don't know what to say. I can't believe it's been a year. Still a lot of you around here. Not much has changed, but everything feels so different now. I can't explain how you're gone. It feels so near. Still a lot of you around here. Still too much emotion weighing my heart down. Too many words unspoken. Wish that I could tell you now. There's 1,000 little moments of you and me that I hold dear. They're all that pull me through, 'cause there's still a lot of you around here. Heard the song, the one you love, playing late last night, and I turned it up and sang along through my tears, 'cause there's still a lot of you around here. Still too much emotion weighing my heart down. Too many words unspoken. I wish I could tell you now. There's 1,000 little moments of you and me that I hold dear. They're all that pull me through. There's still a lot of you around here. Still a lot of you around here. Thank you.
Thank you, our beloved, iconic Canadian, Dan Hill. Oh, man, wow. Oh, we're getting to the end of our evening. However, Ingrid and I do have to, announce some winners. And so we want you now to go into your purses or wherever you keep your tickets for the silent auction. Oh, no, because I'm not going to be able to read it up there.
No, but we're going to draw the door prize first.
We're going to draw the door prize first. I think we have one of our, oh, please give a big round of applause for just one of our volunteers, Vanessa. Is he adorable? So, Ingrid, do you want to this is the door prize.
It is.
Oh my God.
Now, if I could only remember what it was.
Oh, you don't know what the door
No,
prize
one is for a restaurant certificate. So when this is all over, if you can go to the table in the front and say you want a door prize for the restaurant.
I'm stirring up the pot here. It has to be, okay. How's that? What? All right. So whatever speaks to you, Ingrid, do you want to draw something here?
Oh, sure.
Vanessa? Or-
Thank you.
Yes, and who is this now? Who? Peggy Jane Hope. Yes, a testament of hope.
Very
Pot.
fitting.
Yes, so Peggy Jane Hope, you have won. Congratulations. And now, so the restaurant. Ooh.
Yeah.
Mangia Bambini.
And we also have a pair of tickets to the next High Notes Gala.
Ooh. All right, so should I draw one?
Sure.
Oh, okay. Or do you want to?
You go ahead.
Okay. This one speaks to me because it's all crumpled. See, look at that. Very creative person. So that person is Sharon Frohwein. Frohwein. Woohoo! Where are you? Are you there? Oh, hi, honey.
Congratulations.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, your email's interesting. Beautiful you. I won't tell the rest. 'Cause you're going to be. So, okay, Sharon. So there you are, darlings. Okay, and now the third one.
That's it.
That's it. Okay. All right. And now, ladies and gentlemen, get out your tickets. Did you get your tickets now? There's some blue tickets and black tickets. And so we are going to quickly, because, you know, we have to party.
Okay,
And,
so number one
yes, number one.
is books and workshop.
Yes, the number is blue ticket 529302. All right. Okay, so
Number two is art lessons.
it's a blue ticket 529181,
Number three is massage.
which I'm going to give Ingrid after. She's worked so hard. A black ticket 632570. Do we have one? A winner?
Yeah, we'll bring this board out outside afterwards so you
right.
can double check.
All right. And number
Number
four.
four.
Yes, chiropractic treatment package. I believe if you have a good chiropractor, that they can clear a lot of chakras.
And
Black ticket 632540. 540.
And number
Ooh, somebody's happy.
5 is underarm laser treatment package.
Ah,
And that's black ticket
632598. Yes. Oh, the man is going to get his armpit laser. Oh, some woman is going to be very, very happy for that. Oh, man. Oh, yeah.
Number 6 is a May K gift basket.
Yes, and it's a blue ticket, 529246.
Number 7 is holistic facial package.
Oh, a holistic facial package. And the person is a blue ticket, 529318.
Number 8 is an
Yay.
original painting with birds and a flower.
Oh, I
on
like
it.
that. It's a bird of paradise with a darling little hummingbird. I love that painting. It's a black ticket, 632533.
Number 9
Somebody?
is another original painting. The poppies on it.
Ukrainians love poppies, so that's a lovely painting. And it's an original blue ticket, 529331.
And item number 10 is a necklace.
A necklace out for your neck, black, 632552. I think they're a little punchy. 552.
All right, and
The Canada gift basket, ladies and gentlemen, 150 sesquicentennial gift basket. It's all red and white.
yes,
And the number is a black ticket, 525.
5:25.
In Ukrainian, 632-525.
And last but not least, we have a swimming pool maintenance package. I sure hope we get to use it soon.
Yes. Yeah, maintenance. Who has a swimming pool here? Anyway, black ticket, 632-477. 477. I think a lot of us have swimming pools in our gardens right now.
Basements?
But in our basements, yeah. All right, and that's it, ladies and gentlemen. So is that about it for the evening?
That's about it.
Oh, my goodness. Well, thank you so much for being such a fantastic audience, for gracing yourself with our, our theater. It's just been such a pleasure to have you in the audience. You're a fabulous audience tonight. And yes, and, just drive carefully, and if everything is coming your direction, you might be in the wrong lane, okay? And, oh, thank you. Oh, my goodness, look at this.
Why don't we bring Luba out to take a nice bow?